Aya! Welcome! We're back here for another Minidisc Monday. This is edition number 61, and as I've covered the first two studio albums from this band, and I have the remaining four of them all on Minidisc, I thought it's about time I reviewed the third studio album from the Manic Street Preachers. This is the Holy Bible. So this came out in 1994. Apparently, according to Discogs, the Minidisc edition itself didn't come out till 5 years later, but the album originally a 1994 release, and of course it's probably best known as the final Manic's album to feature Richie Edwards, who of course would go missing and presumed committed suicide the following year, 1995. Did pretty well in the charts, maybe not as well as some people expected, but certainly as the reputation of the Manics themselves and certainly of the Holy Bible album grew in subsequent years, it's really got a reputation as one of the high points of the band's tenure really, and it appears in a lot of best albums ever lists from magazines and websites and things. Of course, I will talk about the tracks and what I feel about the album overall in a bit, but before I do that, we will have a look at the contents within and the packaging, of course. Case is in fairly good condition, few sort of marks on it and little scuffs and scratches, but generally it's rather nice. The booklet here is pretty good. We've got these sort of quasi-religious images in here and lyrics that I don't think are in the right order for the actual album, but I think all the lyrics from all the tracks are in here. There's your centerfold featuring some shots of the then four Manic Street Preachers themselves. More lyrics and pictures. On the back page we've got some credits. That's the back page of the booklet. And on the back itself of the album, there is a quote from apparently the avant-garde writer Octave Mirbeau. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And a quote from him from the Torture Garden. The cover, by the way, the design concept, and he was credited for design as well as playing guitar on this album, was a Richie Edwards design, but the actual triptych here of this overweight woman was by an artist called Jenny Saville. Right then, the Holy Bible. So I've only heard this now twice in my life. Right before recording was the second time I'd ever listened to it. I wasn't massively looking forward to it because I remembered when I heard it last I found it really heavy going, to be honest, and I'm sure a lot of real hardcore Manics fans will really think that's kind of sacrilege almost. But we'll go through the tracks and I'll pick out some high points, obviously. Needless to say, Manic Street Preachers, very sort of strong and politically charged lyrics. There's also, interestingly, a lot of samples dotted throughout this album from films, from documentaries. I think there's even at some point a recorded quote from one of the family members of a victim of the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe. So yeah, nice and cheerful content for you here on the Holy Bible. But it begins with track number 1. Yes, I'm having to read the track listing from the front of the case here. Perfectly fine opening. Number 2 is If White America Told the Truth, for one day its world would fall apart, all one word. Kind of an indictment on empty American culture there from lyricist, presumably Richie Edwards. I think he was meant to have wrote about 70% of the lyrics and Nicky Wire the other 30%. But ironic really, given that James Dean Bradfield's singing voice kind of veers into American accent territory for me. Track number 3 of Walking Abortion. I enjoyed this, it was okay. The bass line was very Peter Hook, Joy Division era for me, which is unsurprising really, especially when I was reading up during listening, and Joy Division were one of the influences for making the Holy Bible, along with other post-punk and gothic rock groups of a similar era really. Track 4, She's Suffering, that came out as a single, and unsurprisingly so, it's one of the more catchy, if you can call it catchy, tracks on. Track 5, Archives of Pain, I think that was the track with the quote from one of the family members of a victim of the Yorkshire Rippers before that. Number 6, Revol, another single, and unsurprising why it was chosen as a single, it's just got that kind of more immediate sort of sound to it. Track 7 is one of the most infamous, or certainly one of the best remembered tracks on the album, even though it didn't come out as a single, and it's 4 Stone 7 Pound. And Richie Edwards wrote this from the perspective of a woman who was classed as anorexic, but it was interesting that around the time of making this album, Richie Edwards himself was battling anorexia as well as other mental health issues and also problems with alcohol. Apparently he played physically very little on this album. I mean, he contributed much of the lyrics and the design concept, but according to other band members, he was just not in a fit state to play on this record particularly very much. And of course, he would not appear on another Manic's album again. Track 8 is Mausoleum. Number 9 is Faster, that was the lead single, pretty good. Track 10, This Is Yesterday. I think that's probably my favourite on the album, to be honest. It's more of a lighter kind of song, really. Just one that was more pleasant to me personally. I mean, the lyrical content, I haven't really analysed the lyrics for much of this album, but probably not much light to be found in there. But I did like that, and it was an album highlight. Number 11, Die in the Summertime. Again, I quite enjoyed that as well. Penultimate track, number 12, is The Intense Humming of Evil. The sample that we use at the start was taken from the Nuremberg trials, and unsurprisingly, that track is about the Holocaust. And it ends track 13 with PCP, which is a real kind of romping way to end, really. Took me back to more of the sort of Generation Terrorist era of Manics. I mean, I really enjoyed that album. I've reviewed that album, and of course Gold Against the Soul in previous Minidisc Mondays, so please go back through the MD Monday playlist to check those out if you haven't seen them already. PCP was a good end. So this album is a bit unusual for me in the fact that often with albums I find the first half is pretty strong and then it kind of starts to get a bit weak in the second, whereas this one I feel the second half was better than the first. But even so, overall, by the time the last few tracks came round, I again found this very heavy going, very serious. James Dean Bradfield's voice, it gets a little bit grating to me personally at times as well. I understand what an important and iconic album this is, particularly to Manic's fans. Even though I own their first 6 albums, I only really still consider myself a casual fan of the band. And of course, more Manic's albums that are on Minidisc will get reviewed in this series eventually. The Holy Bible, I will recommend it for those who want political analysis, cultural analysis in their music, but just as an album to put on and enjoy musically, it's not really up there for me. It's not as good as Generation Terrorist by any stretch, and I don't even think it's quite as good as Gold Against the Soul, but that's my opinion. But there we go, that was The Holy Bible, the third album from Manic Street Preachers. Thank you all for watching Minidisc Monday today, with special thanks that go to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and please join me again in a fortnight's time as I look at yet another album in my Minidisc collection here for Minidisc Monday. Cheers everyone. See ya!